for Rodri, he can say he has Phillips there. We know what I'm saying is, yeah, Guardiola will find another way to play without Rodri.
Yeah.
But for a player to do the job that Rodri does, I don't think they have it right now. Probably he will have to set up the team a different way. But my point is, you can do that like against Arsenal, like Tony rightly mentioned. He set up the team to play with two strikers, using Alvarez to substitute for KDB's absence. But it did not work. If Arsenal had taken their chances first half, they would have beaten City like 2 or 3-0 at the end of first half, and the game would have been over. Unfortunately for Arsenal, they didn't do that. Second half, KDB came in, did what he does best, and the goal came out, which is what I'm saying. Transit TV, we are back again on Reggie Football Show. Today, we are supposed to have a few of our fans from Real Madrid. They're still going to join us as soon as they're able to. But right now, I have Tony with me. I have Choma with me. Like we promised, we're going to look at the teams going into the season, how already different teams are. The transfer deals have been completed. We all know that the charity show was played over the weekend. We look at that, what Arsenal did, what impact that could do, bring to the team and stuff like that. So we are here today to have fun as we usually do. I know Choma is ready with her bullets to shoot whoever tries to mess with Arsenal on this one, because she has a bragging right this week, fully loaded as a gunner. So we're waiting for Real Madrid and Chelsea fans to show up. Tony is going to take the bullet for them today from Choma if need be. So guys, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Reggie. Nice to be on the show. Good to meet you too, Choma. I think I probably missed it, or maybe you just did it because Arsenal won. I could see their flag behind you, and it goes to show. I'm talking about Reggie, and I think you guys are still basking in the euphoria of that big win. It was a massive win for everyone who loves football, because football was played as it should play. It should be played by both teams. We saw two good managers, outstanding footballers, really showing what they. I don't think it can get better than what we saw in that match between Manchester City and Arsenal. City being the Champions League winners, Premier League winners, treble winners. Having Pep Guardiola will not want even a spoon to be snatched from them.
Exactly.
That's the kind of mentality Guardiola have actually instilled on his players. And I was just sitting tight on my couch with my cousins, looking out for how it's going to be like. It's going to rain goals on Arsenal, or maybe the assault. Probably going to be too much. But I saw an Arsenal team that was scared. And just like I said before, we talked about this Arsenal team last time, about what would teams look out for coming into this season. And I remember I said it's more about their mentality, the kind of manager they have, who people don't know how ruthless that man Arteta is. If we can see through the heart, I think he's one of the managers we will fear the most in terms of ambition. And he's not loud about it. But you really have to really be one with good football sense to be able to spot how ruthless that man is at heart when it comes to what he wants to achieve. And he had a game plan. The game plan was to dominate City. It's too ambitious for any manager to tell his team to dominate City. It's very much like a suicide mission, because I don't know any team, or you guys can just tell me if there's any team in the world that can match Manchester City. You can only go way back to the same Pep Guardiola's Barcelona.
Exactly. I would even dream about it. Talk less of trying to do it.
Arsenal
I totally agree.
And he exposed a lot, both on City and Arsenal. I saw what Arsenal was lacking and what they had, and City were really exposed in a way that gladdens my heart.
Okay, just say we're going to go to City now. Chama, welcome to the show. Any brief for our viewers before we go into it fully? Because, like Tony said, that game, I know some people will say the teams are not fully ready, City, that, but we know City is City. Anytime you're playing against City, you know what you're going to be up and against.
They were very ready.
You know, because Pep Guardiola knows Arteta very well. He has spoken about the young man a lot of times. He knows that Arteta is not playing. And like you said, if you watch our last episode, it was titled Arteta is dangerously ambitious. That guy is dangerously ambitious, and there's nothing that stands between him and whatever goals that he set for himself and for the team. And that's what we have seen, you know. So today we're going to look at a few of the teams. Like I said, we talk about transfers that have been done and potential ones that are going to come in, how ready the team is, because whether you're ready or not, the season is going to start this weekend, especially in England. I think the one for January will start next weekend. So look at the readiness of these teams, the qualities that they have, and things that have happened in some of these teams, and our expectations. And at the end, we'll also take time to do our prediction for the season. For some of our viewers are requesting that, and I know, going into the season, as we do our previews for the games, we're going to be doing predictions as well. So you guys should get ready. Put on your crystal balls and and make sure our viewers can count on you and can count on you. Yeah. So before we go on, let's remind our viewers, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so right now. Share, like, and share our content. Also follow us in all the social media handles in Instagram, Classic TV, TikTok, and Twitter. We are on all the social media platforms. So go out there and see what we drop. We'll also be having in our description for this video. Choma also is on Instagram. She's doing some work in this industry as well, some voiceover and some other things. So we'll put her links as well in the description. You guys should also check her out and support what she's doing. So guys, let's start with City. Tony, like you were saying, let me just continue from where you stopped. One thing we have noticed about City this summer is the exodus of key players. And I remember at the end of the season, I don't know if you remember the episode that we had, I did tell you guys that I have a feeling that this summer City was going to lose some key players, because that noise was there before at the beginning of last season, which was one of the reasons why Arsenal took over for a long time. If you remember very well, Bernardo Silva this time last year as well was going to leave City for PSG. Somehow they convinced him to stay. Gundogan, the same thing. Gundogan wasn't part of City that much until after Christmas. Riyad Mahrez, as well, as good as he is, we know he's getting old. He didn't play too much part, Kyle Walker and stuff like that. So we have seen a few key players leave City, and there are still more that might likely move. I know Bernardo Silva probably has told Pep he's leaving, which is the reason why they're going for Paqueta. I believe once they conclude that deal, they will let Bernardo Silva go. So what impact do you think this exodus is going to make on City performance and achievement this season?
I think, let's be honest, besides guys like Bernardo Silva, who haven't left yet, and Gundogan, like I said, just picked up form towards the end of the season, was extraordinary. I don't know who any other player that was really key for that squad. Mahrez was more of so a French player in City. And then the committee should also showed us the kind of talent that Guardiola went for, the guy that scored against Arsenal. I in my head, I imagined Mahrez being in that position. He probably would have thought of, doing those fake shots a few times before in the ball. But the man was ruthless. When Julian Timber was in the box, he was able to block him the first time. But the second time, I don't think the guy that came in was ready for that and went into the net. He showed potential. Gundogan left. There's Phil Foden. The brother still, in the game. So it's a matter of when will they start keying into the mentality and the culture in Manchester City. That is the only gap we're probably going to fill. Otherwise, the talent is there, the ability. There is no drop per se in the ability, and they have enough experience in that squad to carry the boys with little experience. So, and when you have a manager like Pep Guardiola, you are better ready before you even step into that pitch. So, but anything can go wrong. We'll just see all of that at the end of the season. We can't write them off, with the Community Shield. Remember how it happened against Liverpool? Liverpool went into the season and we are terrible. And City went on to win the treble. So, but like I said, the exposed City, there was some level of confidence and arrogance which they went into the game. I don't think they will be doing that in the season. Um, uh, let's just wait and see what happens from the first match,
Mm-hmm.
and then going forward. But I think Arsenal really exposed that defense a lot with the formation they play and the style of football they play. Um, if teams were really paying attention, they will really understand that there are certain ways to really twice Kai Havertz would have put them straight to the spot.
Exactly.
Like it was clear that this guy was struggling with Bukayo Saka's run.
Yeah,
That
Akanji.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think playing him as a fullback will be disastrous for City this
Yeah,
season. So I'm sure a manager like Pep must have seen that. That is why Community Shield is there. Arteta on his own tried so many things, and you can see that both managers will see their flaw. I keep saying that Arsenal is a very big centre forward. If we had a centre forward, a proper centre forward, a born striker, will put away those chances in the first half and
exactly.
make
Yeah.
you know more of a formality. It was good. We just see what happens when the season starts.
Okay. Chama, let me go to you. Every time we say City Machine, Pep Guardiola has built a team that always finds a way. But in that game, it was very obvious that without Gundogan, now, if you don't have KDB right now in that team, they find it
Yeah.
difficult to. First of all, they couldn't create nothing for the team, let alone for Haaland until KDB came in. Once he came in, within 5 minutes, that goal was scored, which highlights the impact that he has in the team. Now it's very obvious that his energy level is lower. He's getting older. He's picking up negos here and there. So do you think KDB's ability or inability going to this next season is going to be key or going to have a key role to play in the outcome of the season for City?
Okay. Watching City from last season, we would know that the key players were basically KDB and Gundogan. I don't care what any other person says. Those guys were doing the magic in the midfield. They played their roles thoroughly. Okay. And so now this guy's let Gundogan go. I don't know why they let him go. Maybe for his age or something. I don't know why they let him go. So, and personally, I will say from my own point of view how I usually have these drawings I play with. When they finish doing their formations, I play with it. So the thing is, it's very obvious that Haaland is not a fetcher. We saw that. There was something Tony was saying. Tony kept hammering on, you could see the lapses of the two clubs. Okay, so it's very obvious. Like I would always say that, and I would always make fun of Haaland being very Chicharito. Okay, because Chicharito actually good player, okay player, not a fetcher, but he delivers once he's standing in front of the post. I remember that was how United used to play. Okay, so this guy doesn't fetch. He doesn't know how to find his own food. I understand the role that a proper midfield plays. You know how it is. Push the attack and give the striker the ball to score. But if we're going into this season and Haaland cannot fetch his food, we can see the pace that KDB played at during the last game. at a point, he felt like he was stressed. Okay. He felt like he wasn't sharing, the roles were not being distributed evenly. Like there was nobody to take the burden for him because he can't do everything. You can't run around in the middle and try to go from the right and go from the left. Like, come on, somebody needs to help. Okay. And this Haaland guy would usually wait for all those crosses to come and then get to him. You have Haaland waiting for Bernardo to run from the right, that annoying Bernardo. If he causes trouble, maybe beats Timber and runs from the right and then does the cross. That's what Haaland is waiting for. Do you understand? So we can see that going into this season, if Haaland doesn't learn how to fetch his food and KDB is not up to 100, there's going to be a problem. I'm not saying this to badmouth City. Like, who am I to badmouth City? Like, there's nothing that can ever be wrong with City. I don't care what anybody says. But looking at that game, I really saw that if I were United, I'm still tipping United. I don't know why I keep tipping United. The likes of United and Liverpool should actually be sitting in front of their TV every time City plays. Because this season looks like a season that, I'm sorry, I want to cut them some slack. They are perfect. They are wonderful, Spartan level, but something is not adding up. Yeah. And they can't come into this season looking like that.
I completely agree with you. I do agree with you. Starting from last season, like I said, City didn't win the league because they did magic. They won the league because Arsenal let them win it. Because if Arsenal would have still lost to City home and away and still win the league.
Yeah.
At the time we were playing City the second leg, after they won us, we are still 2 points ahead of them. If I remember very correctly. So all these highlights, all these things are already we are there kind of last season. And now it's coming out a little bit more, in my own opinion. KDB is not going to be the KDB that we used to know. Obviously, the age and the pressure and the mileage on his feet and stuff like that. But Tony, let me go to, there's something that I was looking at and I heard somebody talking about the other day, and was thinking about it. Phil Foden, 2 years ago, or 2 seasons ago, he was the finest young kid coming out from England. Nobody could, if you bring Phil Foden one side and put Saka, will tell you how can you be comparing Saka with Phil Foden. But now that boy is about 23, 24 years now, if I'm not wrong. He should be man enough to pin down the position in that city. I don't care, like Thomas said, I don't care how good City is. Right now, you have lost Gundogan, you've lost Mahrez, and you're playing a charity. KDB is not starting. You're playing a charity shield game, and Phil Foden is not starting. Do you think there was, in the eye, you could say Phil Foden is better than Bukayo Saka? But the impact that both of them are playing in their team, and right now there are holes in City team, and this boy is still not starting for the team. What do you think is going on? What's your take on the Phil Foden situation right now?
I think well, let me first off make it very clear that I've seen players that have the talent or potential, but are not as effective as the potential or the talent they have.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that. So when I look at Foden, boy has that potential. He's talented, but we know more is needed. I think this is the season I expect him to step up.
Exactly.
Football game playing time will definitely affect his confidence. But sometimes I begin to scratch my head like, is he really the kind of player to fit into Gundogan's position? The City we have before will have 2 solid DMs, defensive midfielders, and a creative player in front of them. Remember the days of Dan Silva, Fernando, or the Berardi and the rest of them.
Yeah, Fernando.
One of those holding midfielders tend to be a little creative than the others, if you remember. Now, that's what Gundogan brings to the team. He has some level of defensive ability and creative ability. And if you go back to that community shield, you see that Rodri was really doing his best to cover a lot. How he finished that game without a yellow card, I don't know.
I was going to get to him.
So I was thinking that yes, we spotted all of this, but Guardiola knows this. You don't want to show your card, to your other teams. When you made mention of something about Arsenal winning the league because City, because they allowed City, you are correct. But remember something about City. At the beginning of every season, they tend to have one or two changes, one or two new guys coming into the team. And then you see them playing probably first half of the season, you see them lose a couple of games, lose unbelievable games. But when it comes to the second half, that's where this team starts gelling. That the league is on its home strength. That's where the team is supposed to gel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't know what is going to happen this season as far as City is concerned. You cannot predict Pep Guardiola. And I guarantee you he's already spotted his potential enemies or rivals, people that could take points from him. And I'm sure he's really making notes of all of that. We don't know how City is going to set up next. Because we don't know how they want to use Paqueta. We might think, okay, he's coming in to stand. We know what he can do on that side. But we just don't know where his eyes are at the moment. I would like to see Foden get more playing time, really show himself. Grealish couldn't really do much against Arsenal. That could be another headache for him. Because sometimes when you're not that creative from the middle, it's good that your flanks are really firing. But when they are not, then it's a problem. But I cannot predict Guardiola. He shows you really this moment. As Green is coming out of his pocket, you're seeing him. So he's one manager that you cannot criticize him. You can criticize him for the moment. Maybe he lost a match or got a draw, but he has this way of making it look like it's a setup, and we all always fall for it.
Mm-hmm.
Call it luck, but the man has been winning with much ease. He understands that sometimes it's not really about just what happens on the pitch. It's about taking your points at the right time. And that is where I believe Arsenal and Arteta that have worked under him, must have, kind of learned something from him that it's about picking the points when it matters. It's still a miracle how United qualified for the Champions League. They started picking points when it matters. They picked up form when it matters. City picked up points when it matters. They started running and never lost again when it matters. What happened to Arsenal? They played so well all season, but when it matters, they started losing points. If you check Guardiola and some of the times he won,
Yeah, but that's my point right there. Okay, if Arsenal does the same thing and maintain this team when it matters, City won't win the league. So why would anybody want to wait till when it matters to start to pick points? We keep saying this, that City always starts slow. When it matters, they gel. What if
it's not a deliberate thing? It's not a deliberate thing.
Exactly.
You have a plan, and it's left for the men to key into it. The first time you attempted to ride a bicycle, it wasn't smooth. So you probably have helmets and some of those gears to protect you because you're definitely going to fall. But then you started riding very well, and then you started showing off some tricks and all that. That is what happens in every team. One or two additions. Thomas said something about Holland not tracking back. Very rarely before you see Guardiola play two strikers. He did against us. Did you see?
Yeah, because KDB wasn't there. He tried to use Alvarez to play in that hole, but it didn't work.
You get what I'm saying? So you don't know what he's going to bring on next season. He just gave us not two attackers. Probably he felt like, okay, let's wrap this up for the first time, or let's see just what happened. But he didn't play out that way. So we can't say this is how they're going to play. All maybe if your team Arsenal can do is we've beaten this guy. It doesn't matter what they throw at us. If we go in, we only need to do better. That's all. But for Guardiola, you cannot predict him. You cannot predict his team, and you don't even know how he's going to set up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Chama, let me go to you. They will talk about exodus of players that left City this summer. Let's talk about the people that have come. They have signed Kovacic. Guardiola, I think, has joined already. Paqueta, I know since City have shown up, even though West Ham has dictated their first offer of 75 million. I know they're going to come back with improved bid and they will get their man. So do you think the players will settle in time enough to replace the players that have left? And I know there's a lot of noise was made. One of the reasons why Arsenal did not win the league last season was they didn't have, they were not strong in depth. That City had enormous, strength in depth. But I was watching City Arsenal. I was looking at Rodri, and I'm asking myself, if this guy is out for 5 months, who in that team can do the job that he does for City? So looking at Rodri, what he does for City, and the players that have come in, do you think that City can cope with? Let's even say yes, he's been avoiding. He knows how the way of avoiding cards. Let's assume he gets a straight red, and it's on a week that City is going to play Man United and maybe Arsenal or Liverpool or Champions League. Do you think, with these players that have come in City, like everybody says, in quote, that they have strength in depth? Do you think that, I know Guardiola comes up with stuff, but one thing is for you to have a thought, one thing for you to have a plan, but it's not every time that it works. We have seen it fail him many times, where he tried to juggle his formation and his team and it backfires and he loses again. So Chama, talk us through the incomings and how to deal with, like we saw yesterday or this week, Chelsea lost what's his name, Nkunku. Arsenal lost Gabriel Jesus for another few. Yeah, there's nobody that has license of staying fit. City can lose Rodri in training tomorrow for 4 weeks.
It can happen.
Yeah, so what do you think is going to happen? Do you think City can see themselves through that one?
It just feels like what Tony is talking about. It's when it comes to Man City, you think you know them, but then you don't know them. Okay. And there's this mystery about Pep. Everybody knows this. He plays these very critical mind games at the right time. So asking me about the squad depth and the incomings, this is what I know about City. I mean, we used to make jokes about them having a second B team, C team, D team, We used to make fun of them even having a C team that can play a first team for the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea, those seasons, yeah? And we know how this guy's mentality works. So if this guy sets out and buys a human being, I mean, he's chasing after Paqueta. We know that guy is fine. Okay, he's very good. Now, if he's buying some players, he already knows how he wants to use them. We all witness the likes of Stones go from a backman and start pushing attack and wanting to go and score goal last season. It happened before all of our eyes. And this was out of his creativity and out of whatever he told Stones to make him that kind of footballer. We still don't know until today. Okay, so asking if, yeah, we can see where their problems are going to come from. Should they not cover it up? Should they not give, chances to the likes of Foden and others? But am I thinking he won't catch up? No, he always catches up. My fear now is I feel like Guardiola has something up his sleeves this season. And I don't want to shout too much on that Community Shield. Okay, like I don't want to shout too much. I feel like that guy is just going to whip out something. Just change up. He will just bring another formation to the Premier League and everything will scatter. That's what I think.
Yeah, we've been saying this about City. Everybody says that about Guardiola, but we also know that there was a time people like Wenger, we are talking of the day, Alex Ferguson, Mourinho, nobody has absolute knowledge. At the end of the day, it's still people are going to figure you out, or you might not have the right tools to implement it. Like I said, I look around, I don't see anybody in City today that can do what Rodri does for that team. Yes, he can find another way to play if he's not available. But in terms of
I don't think he's right, because I mean, did we even remember a boy named Palmer? That boy, Palmer.
no,
Who is
no,
he?
no, yeah. If you watch City, maybe in Carabao Cup and FA Cup, he's been coming in. Even on English under 21, he scored goals in that competition. But
I wouldn't be looking.
Yeah, for
I wouldn't
Rodri,
be looking for someone named Palmer.
yeah,
I wouldn't.
for Rodri, he can say he has Phillips there. We know this. What I'm saying is, yeah, Guardiola will find another way to play without Rodri.
Yeah.
But for a player to do the job that Rodri does, I don't think they have it right now. Probably he will have to set up the team a different way. But my point is, you can do that like against Arsenal, like Tony rightly mentioned. He set up the team to play with two strikers, using Alvarez to substitute for KDB's absence. But it did not work. If Arsenal had taken their chances first half, they would have beaten City like 2 or 3-0 at the end of first half, and the game would have been over. Unfortunately for Arsenal, they didn't do that. Second half, KDB came in, did what he does best, and the goal came out, which is what I'm saying. KDB not being there, City will still play, City will still win games, but it's not the same thing as when he is fit. So for me, I've identified these two players, and I feel that in those two positions, in those two abilities, City are short. And I feel that if Liverpool, if Arsenal, if Man United are serious this season, this is the season that somebody can win the league ahead of City. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a very, very big possibility because...
Don't say it with your chest.
I think I've already told
Arsenal are going to be the contenders this season.
Of course, I've already told Arsenal fans, if you watch the videos that we made in LA, I was telling Arsenal fans I was interviewing. I don't know why, if you ask any Arsenal fan, do you think, what do you expect from the team? They will tell you if you see second ahead of behind City, if you have a good run in Champions League. I said, no, demand it. It doesn't mean that they will do it or they must do it. But ask the team that they're good enough to win the league. If you give Guardiola the Arsenal team today and give Arteta City, people will say that Arsenal will win the league. Nobody will talk about the qualities of the player that he has anymore. They would now focus it on Pep's qualities. So which means Arsenal has good enough players to win the league. It's now how they manage themselves, including the coach, that determines what the outcome will be. Let's welcome Jachik here to the show. How are you, bro? He's a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Sorry, I was trying to... I forgot to call you earlier in the day. By the time apparently we were busy. By the time I was trying to reach out to you, I'm sorry that the notice didn't come on time. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you. And before you go, let me call in. I think Calvin Phillips can do as much work as Rodrigo. I think they're in the same cadre. It's just that Calvin Phillips hasn't been playing a lot, but I think he can do the job Rodrigo does. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree with you.
I've watched him a couple of times. I watched him at was it at the Euros or at the World Cup? He was playing for England. No, the guy he's very solid, but I can't assure of his sharpness because he didn't play a lot of games during the last season, so I can't really assure you that he'll be like match sharp. But I know he has the abilities. I've seen him, and he has abilities. And even Paqueta is not a holding midfielder. Paqueta won't play as a holding midfielder.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You're a Real Madrid fan, right?
Yes, I am.
Will you swap Calvin Phillips for Tchouaméni?
No, I will not.
Okay, so if he cannot swap him for Tchouaméni, how do you expect him?
No, I won't. Listen. I won't even swap Tchouaméni for Rodrigo, and Tchouaméni is not even half as good as Rodrigo.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, Calvin Phillips in his own right is a good player.
He's an excellent player. Not
He's
just
not excellent. He's not there yet. He's a good player. He's a decent player. But
he's above his head.
We have spent most of the time this episode talking about Pep. Pep
Mhm.
Guardiola knows how to rotate players. He's a master in rotating of players and using of players. And week in, week out, season in, season out, in the last 2 seasons, he plays Rodri almost 90 minutes in every game. And even a few games that he did not play him, I don't see him use Calvin Phillips. He finds another way to play. So that tells you exactly, it can be, see, like Tony said earlier, you haven't joined that time. Some players have potential, they have the quality. But another thing is, do you have the attitude required of you to play in a team? Look at, what's his name? The guy that plays from the left side, came from Aston Villa that we were talking about before. What's his name?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, they want about 100 million.
Who?
That came from
Jack Grealish.
Jack
Grealish.
We all know his
Yeah.
potential, we know all his abilities, but somehow there is something that is missing because he doesn't have the application. But Guardiola plays players that have.
He got better.
Yeah, he's better, but it took him 2 seasons.
Exactly, to grow into the role.
Exactly. So if you take out Rodri today and decide to start Phillips in the next 5 games, I tell you, City cannot win those 5 games. I don't care who they're playing against. They will win those 5 games.
They will. I tell you.
Tony.
I don't know how you think. Like, when you talk about Phillips, he's got potential. And you say, okay, you've seen his performance for the English team and all of that. But do you understand that if we are talking about the spine of the team, we are looking at Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri? Do you understand that you can't just, potential doesn't just put you straight into that position of
when you say
of a team. When we're not talking about ability only.
Yes.
We're also speaking of experience,
discipline, and
we are talking about attitude that have been tested and proven at every level of football. And for you to just say he will do exactly that, I think I want to disagree. What you're actually citing in this guy is potential, okay? But I don't think in terms of mentality or
even understanding the role, the
role, he probably needs years. I mean, look at Foden. We also talked about Foden, and we said, okay, when is he ever going to develop to the kind of player that could possibly
hold down a position in the team?
We know Foden is talented. We know he's got abilities. He probably needs game time, but we don't know how many of those game times that he's going to need. And he's been in City for a while. So Gundogan has amassed experience from his former team and also came to City as a very experienced player.
When Rodrigo came to City, was he as experienced as he is right now?
No.
How do you gain experience?
He said he's going
How
to
do you gain experience if you're not playing?
No, Jessica, let me call in there. Let me tell you something, Jessica. Like, for instance, Arsenal signed Declan Rice 105. We know the potential, we know his ability. But when you see him in an Arsenal team, you will see that he still has work to do in understanding the way Arteta wants him to play his role. It doesn't mean that he's not good. It doesn't mean that he's not good. But now, as good as he is, he still has to put in the work to understand how they want him to play. And it can go wrong. It can go wrong.
Let's not forget, the context here is how City are going to perform this season.
Rodrigo is not there.
If
How are we talking about Rodrigo anyway?
The context is how can they manage this season if Rodrigo gets
out for 6 months?
Yes, and I'm telling you that City can manage with City have a straight swap. City have a straight swap for Rodrigo for Calvin Phillips. You see,
I agree.
Okay. You know why I disagree with you? Why doesn't he get enough game times?
because all of us we understand that all of us understand that Rodrigo is better than Calvin Phillips. We all understand that. And when you have somebody who is fit, you put your better option. But if he's not there, you have another option. It doesn't mean that the other option is it's far.
No. If Calvin Phillips can do what Rodri does, Pep will use him.
Not always.
And give he will and give Rodri rest.
Not always. So Calvin Phillips plays in their cup games.
Even not cup games. He doesn't even start.
Their cup games.
He doesn't start even in cup games.
And I feel like, well, we all these are just arguments we're making, right? As the season goes, we hope to see how it plays out. Look to see
I agree with him on his lack of game time, because most managers don't solve their defensive midfielders often. When you have one that is very reliable, you can't say, okay, the game I've won like 4 or 5. I'm giving 5-0 of that, and then let me just.
That's the position you don't easily just keep switching.
That definitely affected his game time. But remember, the context is this man has never tested. Like, we are talking about a great warrior in training, not in real battle. He hasn't tested any battle. That is where I have problem. We cannot say that he will do what Rodrigo does for City.
Exactly.
This guy started for England at the Euros. All games. He broke into that team.
Bro, you don't understand that we're talking about the league. The Premier League is what we're talking. I don't need to tell you.
The Euros was just 8 games. And some of those games, England struggled and just won with a draw.
England struggled, but he was their standout player.
No, he wasn't.
That was how we noticed Calvin Phillips.
No, it wasn't Phillips.
That was how we
Declan Rice and Bellingham.
No, it wasn't Bellingham. Bellingham didn't play at the Euros.
Okay, Euros. I'm talking about the last.
Bellingham did not play at the Euros. I'm telling you.
It was Declan Rice and
it was Calvin Phillips.
Yeah.
So the thing is, he's efficient. He's just enough. Okay. He might not be as good as Rodrigo, but he's just enough.
Okay, let's move on, because we have spent most of our time on City. Of course,
why we would, I mean, you want to move on. I wanted to say something. I don't think we should be arguing about Rodrigo's replacement. I think the problem that is going to happen in City is if anything happens to KDB, Rodrigo is replaceable as far as I'm concerned. And the whole Calvin can do the work if he's given the opportunity to show his work rate. That's what I think. But if anything happens to Kevin De Bruyne, City is not going anywhere this season. Nothing.
And when you guys talk about the spine of City, you seem to forget Bernardo Silva and his importance. You need to forget.
Very annoying.
You joined a little bit late. We have spoken about the exodus. These key players that are leaving City, how they're going to cope. That was how we started. Of course, Bernardo Silva.
City. City put it on the stamp that Bernardo Silva is not going anywhere.
Yeah, but I think for them to be going for Paqueta, I believe they have resigned to understand that he might leave, because there's a policy, and Pep always said it even in his press conferences, that once a player doesn't want to be there, they just let you go once a good offer comes. So I think it's getting to the point where they're beginning to understand that, because he still hasn't told them that he's going to stay. So I think that's the reason why they put in that bid for Paqueta. So let's move on to other things. But before we go, let me ask you one question on City before we leave, just to wrap up. What's your expectation of City this season in all the competitions? You're on mute.
Is a question for me?
Yes. You want to use it to round off?
But my expectation is that City will win the league.
Okay. Okay.
That's my sincere expectation. Because there's a reason these guys won the treble last season, and I don't think that the departure of one or two players will undermine the team so much so that they will get really weak. They have an incredible coach. They have a system that works, and everyone in the team knows the system. And from what they are trying to do now with Paqueta, that will show you that those guys are not sleeping. They know that they've lost some really credible players, and I'm very sure, knowing their antecedents and their precedents, that they will at least try to replace the ones that have left. And watching them play against Arsenal and in the Charity Shield on Sunday, I made a mental note of how hardworking that team is. In spite of their obvious ability, technical ability, in spite of their obvious organization and system and everything, they are incredibly hardworking. They double-teamed Martinelli, double-teamed Saka. They will mark the key members of your team, and they will choke you with the pressure on the ball, choke you with the attack, choke you even defensively. And so I do not expect that Pep Guardiola is just going to let his team, he's not going to give up his title without a fight. I would love my team to win. I want my team to win. I also expect my team, Arsenal, to win the league. But I expect City to defend their title. I mean, to the last minute. That's how they roll.
Okay, we'll move on from there. Let's go to Real Madrid. Yatike, right on time. A Real Madrid fan, so you're in the hot seat right now. What's going on with Mbappe? What do you think? There is expectation or belief that Real Madrid has an understanding with Mbappe. That's why he's fending off every approach from PSG to renew his contract or to get them have value for sale of him next summer. Do you think Mbappe, obviously, it's very obvious that he prefers to go to Real Madrid. Do you think he's going to go to Real Madrid this season? And if he doesn't, what's the expectation of the outcome of that deal?
As far as I'm concerned, Mbappe will end up at Real Madrid this season or maybe next season. But knowing the kind of president Real Madrid have, I think Mbappe might end up at Real Madrid this season because PSG seem to have a particular strong stance towards Mbappe's situation at the moment. And Perez, I feel like Perez, if you've studied Perez over the years, you understand that Perez is a crazy guy. And the embarrassment Real Madrid received from Mbappe last season, Perez is towing a certain line so as not to receive such embarrassments again. So I know Mbappe would not come out publicly to say anything because he has the loyalty bonuses to gain. So it's a very, very tight situation. But I hope Mbappe ends up at Real Madrid this season, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a very tough season for Real Madrid without a focal point. We don't have a focal point. The gulf Benzema left is way bigger than the one Cristiano Ronaldo left when he left Real Madrid. So it's going to be a very, very difficult season without a good and perfect replacement, a focal point. Plus the new formation Ancelotti is trying out. The new formation Ancelotti is trying out. He's having Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo up front. These are not really good finishers. These are not, established finishers. These are not guys that that will take 8 out of 10 chances, like Karim Benzema. So we need like Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe has proven over the years that he can take 8 out of 10 of his chances, and Vinicius Junior might give you 5 out of 10, and that is not what you need in the season.
You should be proud.
So what now?
You should be proud that Vinicius will get you 5 out of the 10.
Okay, Chama, let me ask you. Let me go to you. Now that you spoke, I was going to ask you. Just like we're talking about City, Real Madrid are on their own side. I've also had some exodus this summer. of some of their key players over the past few years. Karim Benzema has left. Who again left in their midfield?
They went after money.
Yeah, left. So obviously, and they have not really recruited.
No, nobody left in the midfield.
Yeah, Karim Benzema left. The one other player that left in Real Madrid. Okay.
Marco Asensio.
Okay, Asensio left. Yeah, he's not a regular. No, what I'm trying to say in essence is in their midfield we have Cruz and Modric, who are getting old. One of the games that I watched Real Madrid in the preseason.
You shouldn't even be mentioning them anymore. They need to get a replacement.
Tried to bench the two of them and use the young midfield, and it didn't really work out. He had to bring in Modric and Kudryk again, and before they got out of that, I can't remember what game it is now. So if Madrid doesn't get Mbappe this summer, do you think they're going to make any impact in the league or Europe going into the season?
I mean, Mbappe effect is real. Just like he explained it to you. Is a player that they will need to finish, and this is something they need. But you saying that you don't agree with Ancelotti's latest formation. I mean, the whole of last season, I saw Junior do it for you guys, like how many times? He crosses, he fetches his foot, he feeds it to the right people. If they are not there, he goes, he rolls up front and he scores. The only person I don't think is that efficient is Rodrigo. That's the other guy with whatever formation he's trying to build with two of them. So if you guys don't get Mbappe, for the sake of you guys, I hope you're going to be fine. But I think Vinicius is one of your top guns. I don't think it's someone you should look down on.
Oh, yeah. Understand that I'm not looking down on him. So Vinicius is used to playing in a certain way. Vinicius is used to playing out on the left and coming in the focal points. So last season, Real Madrid were still playing their traditional 4-3-3 with Rodrigo in the middle when Benzema wasn't there. And ironically, Rodrigo scored more goals. Rodrigo had more goal involvement than Vinicius. Rodrigo is a better finisher, but he's not somebody you can depend on for a whole season. That is what I mean. Both of them are not people you can see. Vinicius is somebody you can depend on to create, to give us that outlet and create chances. Not somebody you can depend on to score goals.
These are boys we're talking about. For their age and exposure, I think they're gonna be fine with more exposure and experience. You're talking Karim. Karim is not a child. He's been there for like forever. I mean, seriously, he always knew he was going to make this move.
That's the point. With Benzema leaving right now, the shoes for his shoes to fill are really large. They are too large, and he needs somebody who is, I feel like Joselu was brought in to replace Karim Benzema. But when Ancelotti had watched the pattern, watched how he played, he knew that this guy cannot replace Benzema. And then he had to integrate Jude Bellingham into the fray. So he tried to tweak his formation to see if this formation is going to work. So, and as far as the midfield is concerned, I don't think Real Madrid have any problems with the midfield.
I think I will have to agree with you, Jatike, because I watched a few games of Real Madrid over the summer. I discovered that, like you rightly mentioned, Jude Bellingham right there. He tried to use him to arrive late in the box to take chances. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be because he's also expected to do some job in the midfield. It's very obvious from the way Real Madrid looks right now that they need a striker. I don't know if it's going to be Mbappe or somebody else. There's nobody in that team now. Like the same thing we'll talk about Arsenal, that they don't have a striker that can give them 25 goals a season. The vacuum that Karim Benzema left in that team is huge and is massive. And unfortunately, Real Madrid are in a dilemma where they cannot go out there and invest big money on a striker when they know they can get Mbappe next season, if not this season. Yeah. So it's going to be a very big problem. For me, there's a little bit of imbalance in that team right now going into this season, except they can secure the services of Mbappe, which will relieve Jude Bellingham if some of the expectation of him running in and getting some goals for the team to concentrate on his midfield, because that midfield going to this season as well, as good as they have qualities there, it's going to be a group of players that have played together so many times. There's still going to be time for transition and gelling because he's trying to translate from Cruz and Modric to Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Valverde. So these other two players have not been playing together. So there's some transition to be done there. Mbappe, like you said, once he comes in, we expect him to kick on. So
yeah, with the 4-4-2 formation, being that Mbappe doesn't like playing as a standing forward, with the 4-4-2 formation, Mbappe is going to really just walk into the team. He's really going to just walk into the team, play on the left or the right hand side of the attack. I feel like Vinicius Junior will be okay. He'll be okay. He's playing in unfamiliar territories, but with the kind of abilities he has, he will do well. He will do well. He will have to tweak his game to sit into the formation. But like I said, with Kroos and Modric in the midfield, I don't really think Real Madrid has a problem in the midfield with or without Kroos and Modric. The transition is going to take.
Sorry.
What
did you say?
You said with or without
what did you say?
Modric and Kroos.
With or without Modric and Kroos, right?
You put those two names side by side and instead you don't have a problem.
With or without them. Listen, with or without them, Real Madrid, I don't think Real Madrid has a problem in the midfield. Listen to me, on paper, right? See, Reggie, on paper, with or without Kroos and Modric, I don't think there is a better midfield in Europe. I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Before you.
That's not the issue.
Okay, the one you said with or without. Okay, let's say without. So without a midfield of Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Valverde, you say he's the best in Europe?
I don't think there's a better midfield than them. So I don't think that there's a better midfield than the crop of players Real Madrid have. You've forgotten that Real Madrid still have Ceballos. You've forgotten that there are a lot of midfielders.
Who is Ceballos? Ceballos
what is he doing now?
Ceballos comes for 8 minutes.
Do you know that Arsenal wanted to get Ceballos after his loan deal? Arsenal did want to keep him just the same way they wanted to keep.
I'm happy with the
same way they wanted to keep Odegaard. And Real Madrid chose Ceballos over Odegaard.
No.
Real Madrid chose to keep. I'm saying same offers. Real Madrid chose to keep Ceballos over Odegaard. So with the crop of midfielders I have,
I remember that one. I remember very well. I said that on Odegaard, as long as there's a chance to sign the ball, that he will wait till the last minute of the transfer window. And he did not chase any other midfielder that season except Odegaard. He waited. He said he will wait till the last minute. That Odegaard was so integral to what he's going to be doing with us now to let him go, and he did. So that I don't believe in that your statement, and I believe you should talk to your other Real Madrid fans and find out if with or without Kroos and Modric, your midfield is the same.
No, I can speak for Madrid. I can speak for Madrid. When I want to watch ball in Spain, I can speak for Madrid. Please let me speak for Madrid.
Everybody's mother soup.
I want to represent for Madrid.
You need to understand. You see, you need to understand. You need to understand what I said. I did not say that they are as good as they can be.
No, you say with or without. There is no.
I said they're efficient. Yes, with or without them, they with or without.
A midfielder came a distant second in La Liga. A distant second to a midfield of what's the name? The young and his boys in Barcelona. Bragging over rubbish.
We're going to take those words out of my mouth. I think
my brother, it's as if I thought they said only Arsenal fans are delusional. This one is a different level of delusion.
See, understand that
I think
the midfield you're talking about is still Kroos and Modric. The midfield you're talking about last season was still Kroos and Modric, and you could see their decline in age. You could see
They
their
are no, please, I beg to differ.
decline.
There's something I want to state. You can quote me here. You can quote me. If there's somebody I think is on a very fast decline, it's Cruz. He needs to get out. But you see, Modric is a fair.
No, wrong. This is incorrect. This is incorrect.
Call your guys, please. Call them all.
Do you know that?
Call them all.
Kroos, do you know that Kroos was so integral for Real Madrid last season that they had to transfer Kroos to holding midfield? In some games, Kroos had to go and play holding midfield. Modric could give
Not
you
a transfer. Not a transfer. He can do that effectively. He does it for his country. He can do that effectively.
You know, I watch all Real Madrid games, and I'd rather have Kroos in the team.
No, I will not have it for that last leg. That Champions I will have it.
There's a difference between being objective and fanatical. Okay, sometimes you start off like being very objective with your analysis, and then I don't know how you tend to be a little fanatical about it. How can you just talk about Karim Benzema leaving, like his departure going to cause a very big problem for Madrid, and then you just say with or without Modric? We're speaking about transitioning here. I know those guys have potential, but as good as you've seen them play, could be because those guys are still
in the mix. Yes.
To be honest with you, though I don't want to say yes, you got it all wrong, because there's also something about them. He said on paper, it's a different thing when they get on the field. For Madrid, we know that La Liga is important, but Champions League is supreme. And when we are making these analyses, we take a look at other teams that they possibly going to be meeting. And you tell me you have a midfield that you feel has both ability and experience to really match those teams, with or without Modric, without Kroos. And you also said that Toni Kroos played an integral part in Madrid's game last season. I do believe your midfield setup, not taking away the adds some creativity to the team, but don't really bring. You see, Modric gives everything.
Reggie, you remember? Hold on, Reggie, you remember we watched the Real Madrid City game last season? We watched it together. You remember?
Yes, we did. But like I said,
no, hold on. I want to ask you a question. What did you say after that game about Modric, Kroos, and the midfield? What did you say?
Remind me. If you remind me, I can't
remind you what he said.
There's so many things now.
I can't remind you. There was so about the midfield, about Real Madrid's midfield. There was something you said. It came from you.
Yeah, so many things.
That's the only thing you said about Real Madrid.
There's no evidence.
I can't remember. No, if it reminds me, I will accept it. Remind me what I said.
Reggie, my hand has been up since.
No, sorry, Richard. Let's hear from you. Sorry, let's come on. It was hot when you came in, bro. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Valverde is Madrid's best midfielder.
Is that?
Yeah. Valverde.
Yeah.
Federico Valverde is Madrid's best midfielder.
Incoming.
And what will now happen? What will now happen is next season, Bellingham will now show what he's capable of. So, let me tell you what will happen next season. Madrid's midfield will be first choice midfield will be Valverde, Bellingham, and Modric. Take it from me. That's what will happen.
Okay. Let's assume that's going to be true. Like we said, if you remember what I said earlier on, I said from what I've watched about Madrid this summer, they try to use Bellingham to make late runs into the box to get goals because they don't have a prolific striker right now. like Jessica said,
play
Ancelotti is
Bellingham.
playing 4-4-2. He's trying to use what's his name, Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo to as the two strikers. But Jude Bellingham, if you remember the goal he scored against Man U, he made those runs so many times in that game before he got that goal. So probably that's what they're trying to do. So if that's the case, you're supposed to use the midfield from what Richard is saying. You now have Modric and Valverde. None of them is a holding midfielder. Modric cannot be the holding midfielder right now for Real Madrid. He doesn't have the energy anymore. And if Valverde works hard, but positionally, he's not a holding midfielder. So that's still an imbalance in that midfield. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying these players are not good. We're not saying that they cannot do the job. But it's going to be different from when you have a Toni Kroos and Modric side to side. Then maybe Camavinga's energy or Valverde around them. It's going to be different. So he's saying that with or without these two men, that Real Madrid is good. And that's the argument. So let me bring Jude before we move on to Arsenal. Jude is welcome to the show, bro. He's a Real Madrid fan as well. We are a little bit late. We are closing on your team. So we're discussing about the vacuum or the transition that's going to happen in your team this season. Of course, Benzema left. They have not brought in anybody. Mbappe, we don't know if it's going to come this season or not. Most likely he has to come because Madrid needs him to come, but we see
they brought in someone. You're just
that guy is
not giving the guy any
chance.
They brought in Joselu.
They doesn't look like he's ready. Then we are talking about the midfield right now. Of course, there's going to be a transition program this year, for Kroos and Modric. So your fellow fan is saying with or without Modric and Toni Kroos, that Madrid is good in the midfield. I don't know if you believe or support that. And what happens in the team this season.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a long time coming for me on this show, trying to make our time, but and I said this night I must at least have some time to come in and show support for what Reggie is doing. I believe Madrid. There's a lot of fluidity in the team, and I will agree on one side about what the gentleman said about Madrid. For me, I believe Madrid is a team on a transition. If you look at the way Carlo has been going through, and he has been very cautious about it. In the midfield, it looks, he has refused to let Toni Kroos and Modric go. Out of 10 coaches, probably 7 or 8 would have let those guys go, but he keeps giving them 1-year contracts, because of the talent that they have. And there is, for me, I don't believe there is any cause for alarm in the Madrid midfield because Carlo is going to do a lot of rotation this season, because the likes of Camavinga are there, the likes of Tchouaméni can come in, can play different roles in the middle of that pack, for all I can say. So, but when it suits him, he's going to play those two. When it suits him, he's going to tweak it with Kroos and Modric. Like you said, Valverde is not a holding midfielder. He's somebody that is very mobile, and him and Jude Bellingham are quite, for me, they have some level of similarity and they can spring up surprises at any point. So those are Madrid have some kind of players that you cannot place a hand on, except for the likes of Vinicius that what they do, what they can do anytime they're with the ball, where they're going to show up. But Jude Bellingham is somebody that can do different things. Valverde is someone that can do different things. Then there are a lot of technicians inside that squad, and the only problem I see is he's going to be playing false nines, pulling Rodrigo in and then doing something. But then coming back to the Mbappe issue, it's been a lot of controversy with Mbappe, and Madrid needs Mbappe as much as Mbappe needs Madrid. I don't think Mbappe has anywhere to go but Madrid, and I don't think Madrid needs anybody not in the like of Mbappe, to come into that number 9 position. So, well, let's see how the whole drama pan. Let's see how the whole. It's been a lot of drama. Let's see how it pans out. I'm tired of even listening to so many. We come up with it permutation, and we come up with a funny bidding from Saudis, and those guys are throwing money left, right, and center. And I wish they could throw some of those monies to me. Probably I could do something.
Okay, guys. Let's move to Arsenal, and so we can close the show. Tony, you and I and Choma, we spoke about the charity shield. I don't know if Richard, let me ask you, were there any lessons or any revelations that you got from the charity shield game between Mancity and Arsenal, both ways? You know, what did you see? Is there anything that you saw that you could see that, hey, this is going to be a key recurrence going into the season, or any, you know, that Arsenal showed weakness or strength, either way?
Yeah, yes, to answer your question, but I want to go back to Madrid. Sorry. Valverde and Bellingham can both play holding midfield. Both of them have that ability, and you will see it next season. But like to go to Arsenal, yes. What happened in that match that really surprised me was, if you watch, I've watched the match 3 times since you know, the live broadcast, and what surprised me was Declan Rice didn't play as a holding midfielder. He played in the final third. What he did, and he marked. Do you realize that he actually he man marked Rodri out of that match? I don't know if you watched it. If anybody here has watched it subsequently, he made Rodri play the ball backwards or sideways at every opportunity. It was incredible. And yeah, so to answer your question, yes, it's that's what I saw. Arsenal are going to be without injuries, they're actually going to be a far stronger team than they were last year. You know, we've had this discussion on several occasions regarding their ability to score goals. They've scored goals, but not at the rate that Manchester City have scored, and that is their weakness. I don't know how we're going to address it, but as regards, you know, even though City were in that game, they were actually nullified. I haven't seen a City team that was in the last 18 months that were nullified the way they were in that match. So yeah, admittedly, they bought Guardiola. Sorry, not Guardiola. They bought Guardiola.
Yeah, and
I heard today that they are looking at Paqueta.
Yeah, they already sent in the first bid of 75 million, which West Ham swiftly rejected. So they are still working on the deal.
So, you know, which shows you, and you know, that's an indication of Guardiola's reaction to that match. He's realized that, look, we are wanting somewhere.
Yeah, the one that, like, also agree with what you're saying. Well, the one that surprised me, there were so many times that Arsenal pegged Mancity in the left side of the defense for a few minutes, interchanging passes, and City couldn't do anything, like, you know, against that. Jude, let me ask you a question, Jude. Let's just assume, let me use the preseason and the charity shield. Do you think that Arteta has grown?
Yeah, very much. I will come about it this way. You know, I watched that game, and I saw there is a kind of something I saw in the Arsenal players, like when you have a team is no longer a mystery to you. The Mancity squad is no longer a mystery to the Arsenal players. They demystify them to a large extent. Forget that City got the first goal, against the run of play and all of that, but we can also see that it looks like the changes came like for both City and Arsenal. So the two guys that came in, as substitutes, Kevin De Bruyne and Trossard, were all seriously involved in the two goals. Yeah. So, but yeah, like what the last speaker said, what you said earlier, there are so many times Arsenal pegged City back, and Arsenal could have gotten a couple of goals. We saw chances that where's this new guy? Kai Havertz, yeah, so he needs to be sharper if he has to, fill in that role for Jesus, or so he has to be sharper. I believe that he's a bit jittery. He hasn't blended with the squad a lot, but I mean, it doesn't have to take him any long, because this is a league he has been playing for, and it requires him to up his game and be sharper and go for the kill at any game. Okay. Yeah, Arsenal will do well. Arsenal will do well, no doubt, this season. But I have a little problem, and that problem is, the depth of squad that robbed Arsenal last season. The depth of squad, and then Arsenal backline. I don't see that leadership at the back. Most times Gabriel tries to show up to take that leadership, but you need someone that could marshal the backline of Arsenal. The way they scored the goal, that wasn't the goal I expected them to score. So
the last point that you made, I agree with everything you said, but that one really, struck me, because I remember last week I was listening to an interview by Zinchenko, asking him with Ferdinand. He said something about this company. Now, if you play with company, and sometimes, if not for respect, he wants to say, "Can you shut up?" That this guy for 90 minutes will keep talking to you. Move here, move left, move right, watch your back. You keep, and what he's telling you plays out in the game. I've listened to Gary Neville talk about Ferdinand continually during the game, telling you your back, your left, your right, your that. I think you're right. I don't see Gabriel wants to do it by himself.
Yeah, but
Saliba doesn't look like he's very vocal. So I think that's something that they have the ability, but that leadership, like you said, is not really there. I agree with you. So let me go to you. The next question. Arsenal has made 3 very key signings this summer: Kai Havertz, Jurgen Timber, and Declan Rice. Which among these players do you think is going to make the best impact or the most impact in the team, and why do you think so?
Yeah, I've not seen much of Timber right now, but for the game Declan Rice played on the Community Shield, he did a lot of things that are very flashy, that I say my fear is, can he continue in that stride? If he can maintain, the recoveries were quite good. Havertz had his moments. Arsenal will always create chances. And it now depends. Declan Rice will create chances. Odegaard is brilliant. He's a magician. He's a technician. What was his name? Saka
and Martinelli.
And Martinelli. These guys will always create. The chances will always come. But Arsenal is going to have a problem in finishing. So, but if these guys that are creating the chances are also burdened with the challenge of scoring the goals, then that's where it's going to weigh them down, because they need the goals, and they know they are creating those chances, but they need somebody to stick it in the back of the net. You can see what won the City all the titles last season was just one player, Haaland.
Yeah, moments.
You just discover the what is lacking in the squad. You throw it in there, and boom, that's it. But like if we're going back to City again, City is not going to find it easy this season.
No,
you saw Haaland was very underwhelming in the last game in that Charity Shield. So and what I for the body language I saw, I mean, it's not going to the Haaland of last season is not going to be the Haaland this season. Yeah.
So Tony, amongst those signings, Tony, let me go to you, Tony. Which among them do you expect to make the most impact for Arsenal?
Honestly, before the Community Shield, I was rooting for Declan Rice, for he's one that has played the league and was a key player in the state he came from, and I kind of like his style. He's also a game reader, one who, if you give him a role, he will do his role very well. But we'll find out what is missing in the other players and probably try to, cover it up. But I was very impressed with Julian Timber, in that game, because when you're playing the best team in the world, you just came into the squad and you're playing with such confidence and ability, you're very effective in your position. I think, I'm already impressed. I just wish that he can probably take it on. But before then, I was really rooting for Declan, whom I believe would do more for the team. And just to add something about what they said about Haaland, I think it's too early for one to say Haaland is not going to be Haaland next season, or City, they are not going to be City next season. I can go way back at the Community Shield of last time. Liverpool won. Haaland was nowhere. How market when the league started? It's Pep Guardiola we're talking about. He's still the City. When we talk about players leaving Manchester City, and I ask, how key were those players? Were they the spine of that team? No. If Mahrez he didn't kick a single ball in the most important game they played last season in the Champions League. And the Silva is still there. We'll wait and see if he's leaving. So I don't see anything I don't see anything at all making City look weak going into next season. I don't know how somebody will make it harder for them. I don't know how somebody is going to stop Haaland from scoring. I don't know how. They will get the goals. They will pick their points. They could start a little slow like they always do every season. But when it matters the most, I said it at the beginning of the show, they will pick those points. It's left for the other teams to do the same if they have the players with the same quality and maturity as Man City. And at the same time, same coach.
Okay, Richard, let me ask you. I know you're an Arsenal fan. I know sometimes it's difficult for a team that you support to be objective. Do you think what Arsenal did last season was a fluke? And what's your expectation for Arsenal this season based on what you have seen this summer?
Reggie, I'm offended. I mean, aren't I the most objective football fan you know?
I'm not saying you are. I said when I was speaking generally, I said sometimes when we support our teams that we support, we find it difficult sometimes without knowing to be objective. I'm not talking about you directly. I mean, generally speaking, sometimes we are subjective.
I think generally I'm objective. I mean, the truth of the matter is this. Arsenal lost the Premier League last year because of 3 results. Those 3 draws. If those 3 draws had been wins, Arsenal would be champions.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
Exactly.
Regardless of what happened with City.
Exactly. That's what I told Tony and
that's what people fail to realize.
You remember exactly. It wasn't about City doing magic. It was just that Arsenal did not do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. That's what you guys like this. It makes me laugh. You know why it makes me laugh? You talk about Arsenal drawing a match, drawing games when they were already seeing the finish line, and you don't talk about City winning all their matches when they were already seeing the finish line.
City didn't win. Do you remember that City had a draw at Nottingham Forest?
Sorry. Sorry.
The beginning of the season, they will win those games comfortably. But because the pressure was on them, everybody was already talking about it. You know how hard the press can be. It got on the players, and the squad was not deep enough. Is it so deep this season? No. It's not.
Okay, let me answer.
But the point I'm trying to make is that even though City were as relentless as they were towards the end of the season, if Arsenal had won those matches that they drew, those 3 matches, even the 2 losses against Manchester City would have been irrelevant, because Arsenal would have finished 1 point ahead of Manchester.
Yeah, by the time Arsenal played City second leg and lost, we are still 2 points ahead of City.
That's the point I'm making.
Go back to the manner which those games.
You know, because
that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. It's all on Arsenal. It's not about City.
I just want
Please
to
let's
make
allow
the
guy to answer his
I want
question
to make this point, and I think it's very important too. If Arsenal had converted the 1 point that they earned in those 3 matches to 2 points, they would have had, rather than the 3 points they earned in those 3 matches, they would have earned 9 points.
9 points.
The point I'm making is, no matter what City had done, the results against City would have been rendered completely irrelevant. Arsenal would have finished 1 point ahead of City. And you see, Arteta said the same thing. He's not, you know, when he's talking about the analysis of last season, he's not talking about the results against City. He's talking about those 3 draws. They were crucial. Then, aside from the results, was the momentum. You know, we lost momentum from those 3 results. So my feeling is that Arsenal will take something from what happened last season. They will not make those mistakes again. I can assure you.
That's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear. You know what I said that? When Arteta said all of that, he said it from Arsenal's perspective. But if the pressure from City wasn't there, I tell you, because City had a game in hand, and we could see them winning games and winning comfortably. This man was holding press conference, throwing little Arsenal, and you may want to overlook that, but he paid off. When the table was flipped, and Arsenal had a chance to put City, I bet he would not.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that it's irrelevant. The head-to-head Arsenal to City would have been rendered irrelevant from Arsenal's other results against other teams. What they did was matches they should have won, they didn't win, and it had nothing to do with City. Honestly, it had nothing to do with City. What it was,
it's just like the season before. I think I agree with Richard. The season before, Arsenal would have made top 4. We know what happened. Tottenham, because of the results at Newcastle and Tottenham, and they end up in position. By the next season, they corrected that. They went to Newcastle. They did not lose. They came to Tottenham. They did not lose. So that's why he's trying to say.
Exactly my point, Reggie. There's something we fail to acknowledge here. We kept saying that they will not find it easy this season. For the past 2 or 3 seasons, they've not had it easy, and they won the league. You know why? When they put that pressure on any team, when you are really winning your game, playing your matches, it's not until you play against City. At the back of your head, you know City is coming. Sometimes it takes its toll on your players. But they start becoming mentally fatigued.
Yeah, but Tony,
I remember there's a way the fixtures played out last season, and it hurts me because the fixtures played out that way. In one of those fixtures, I think City had to play
2 or 3 times. Yeah, before 2 or 3 times.
And I remember I sat down with some of my cousins here, because I came from an Arsenal family, and I told them, this is what is going to break Arsenal. And it eventually did. Because you're chasing something, you're doing that hoping that these guys should somehow, like,
Tony, sorry to cut you short. If I'm in that position, one thing I will remind myself is that City has never gone a season unbeaten. So which means there's a possibility. We keep saying they will go. Yes, they have been doing it at the end of the season. But there is a possibility that they can lose a game because every season they lose 1 or 2 games. So if I'm in that position, I can still draw from that history and tell myself.
Reggie, if you are in that position, you're in the studio, you will say this. If you are in that position, I tell you one thing: people have gone into exam hall, they can't spell their name. It's not because they are not brilliant.
Okay, Tony, let me ask you, what's the expectation of Arsenal this season?
I've said it before. I expect a lot from Arsenal because I thought I think they are stronger now. Mentally, they have grown. They have become bigger. Honestly, because when you go behind against City, you just want to throw in the towel. But Arsenal kept throwing punches. They kept playing game. They weren't just playing they were playing beautiful football. Taking it to these guys like when the goal eventually came, someone would say, "Oh, it was just a deflection." No, they forced it. They forced it.
I saw I've never seen Akanji spent like that before in a game.
I swear, if City plays Akanji as a football this season, they will leak goals. For Arsenal to have the audacity to put just such pressure on City, take the game to them, felt like even though the time is taken away, they believe the chances are there. I did not see them do that last season because of despite the pressure City was pulling. How can you just let go of your lead that way? The Arsenal I saw in the Community Shield will not do that this season. But I'm hoping that they stay on that level.
You know, in support of City, I would say that Diaz and Guardiola has the potential to be the best central defensive partnership in the world.
Well, thank God you said potential.
Yeah.
Daddy, let me ask you, let's close with this. Arsenal just made a signing of a new goalkeeper, David Raya, from Brentford. Looking from outside, do you think is something, did it surprise you, or do you feel that it was something that Arteta needed to do?
No. I don't think it's something he needed to do. I do not understand that signing. To be frank, I do not understand that signing. You guys have a good goalkeeper in Aaron Ramsdale, and then you have, I think, Martinez. No.
Mark Turner.
The American
He's
guy.
gone.
Yeah,
Turner has gone.
Oh, the American guy is gone?
Yeah, he's gone to Nottingham Forest.
Oh, okay. Oh. Then I understand now because I haven't been following that Arsenal's transfer business, so I don't even know that Mark Turner left.
No, but looking at it, I think the reason why he left was because they are going to get the Vieira. Because that's what I feel. But still, Tony or Richard, let me go to you, Richard. What do you think about what's going to happen? Because these two goalkeepers side by side, there isn't much difference between the two of them.
It's evidence of Arteta's ruthlessness. What he means, Raya is better with his feet than Ramsdale. So what I believe is going to happen is, they will fight it out on the training ground, and Arteta will decide. He's decided. It's the same. A very similar thing happened with
Ramsdale and Belleno.
Even at City, Guardiola and Hart. But I think Arteta is not as confrontational. So what he did was he was like, look, there's a problem. This is how I'm going to deal with the problem. I will bring a goalkeeper that is quite obviously better with his feet than the goalkeeper I have, but is not necessarily a better shot stopper. The thing about Raya has weaknesses, but the weaknesses are not with his feet. He's not even Ramsdale is bigger physically.
I think Ramsdale is a better goalie.
Yes, that's why he's a shot stopper.
Yeah, he's Ramsdale is a better shot stopper, but he's not better with his feet. And Reggie, you said this thing I think in the last episode, that you were not very comfortable with Ramsdale's
all through the summer. I don't know what was going on with him and distribution. He was going long too many times before. He was going long too many times.
the thing about Raya is that maybe it was an instruction that, because when you think about it, the best goalkeeper in the world with his feet is Ederson, and he goes long.
No, but Ramsdale was. I couldn't.
And this is my point. This is my point. Raya is very good going long. He's exceptional going long. He's probably nearly as good as Ederson. He's that good. So I think what it is, it's almost it's like Arteta is like, okay, let's see, let me shake things up. It's obvious that he really wanted him, because think about it, to pay £30 million for a goalkeeper, you really need that goalkeeper. There's a reason.
Exactly. Yeah, just to round up, everybody has said both here and all around the globe that one of the reasons why Arsenal lost the league last season was the lack of strength in depth. And all of a sudden, Arteta goes to get a keeper that is as good, if not better, than Ramsdale. Everybody is saying they don't understand why he's making that signing. And nobody is thinking about what happens tomorrow if going to the season, Ramsdale gets injured for 4 months. And we're left with McTominay. Turner, for me, is not up to the standard of Arsenal. I used to tell Ugum that was a political signing made to appease the English fans, the American fans of Arsenal. And of course, the owner is from the US here, we know. So I don't think in terms of quality or potential that McTominay is anywhere close to what Arsenal should have. So if anything happens to Ramsdale, we're left with him. So if we really are going to criticize at Arsenal for not having strength in depth last season, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with going to get another keeper that is as good as Ramsdale. So, like you said, Richard, let them fight it out. And whoever that ends up in goal in any game, we are rest assured that we have what we need to have in the post. And whatever happens is not because we don't have the quality. It's just one of the things that happens in the game. So I think we should run it up there. We have so much to talk about. But let's run up with our predictions. Daddy, let me ask you in a few seconds. Give us your first 5 teams in EPL this season.
My first 5.
And in the order from 1 to 5, and one team that you think will win the Champions League
from the EPL.
Yes. No, I mean EPL standing 1 to 5. Then Europe, who will win the Champions League for you?
Madrid will win the Champions League in Europe.
Okay. Then the EPL.
Oh, don't laugh at that. 2 seasons.
No, it's okay. No, don't elaborate. I'll take it. Just give us your. Don't worry. We're not arguing about. Just give us your prediction. It's okay. We're not going to argue.
But in the EPL, the first 5 teams would be Mancity, Manchester City, and Arsenal. Manchester City and Arsenal side by side. I don't think that there's a lot of differences between both of them. It's going to be. If Arsenal play how I think they will play, then if they play how I think they will play, then they might have good City. But it will be Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool is shaky, but I mean I just Liverpool they just come up out of nowhere. So Liverpool and Newcastle.
Okay.
Newcastle, and if Manchester United between Manchester United and Chelsea, because if Chelsea eventually find their pattern under Pochettino, they're going to be dangerous. So it will be Man City, Arsenal,
Newcastle, United, and Chelsea.
No,
Liverpool.
Number 3.
Okay, good. Let's go to you. Who will win the Champions League for you in Europe?
The team that loves to play Champions League.
Okay. Okay, give us your first 5 in that's Real Madrid. Real Madrid. So give us your first 5 in
Madrid any day. Yeah. I want to put okay, let's go Arsenal. United, City, Newcastle, and Chelsea.
Okay, fair enough. Tony, let's go to you. Who will win the Champions League?
It's a prediction, at the same time it's a prayer. I wish Madrid wins it.
The internet is hanging. I think we have lost Tony.
Hear me? I can hear you still.
Okay, we can hear you now. Can hear you now. So give us a prediction.
Okay, like I said, I wish and I predict and I pray that Madrid wins the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
Then for the Premier League, it is still the team to beat. So I'll pick Manchester City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Newcastle, and Liverpool. I don't think Chelsea will break into that Champions League. I'll be surprised if they do.
Richard, let's go to you. Who wins the ECL for you and your first five?
Manchester City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester United.
Okay, guys. For Champions League.
Champions League, I think City will win it again.
Okay. Okay, before we go, I'll give my own prediction for Champions League. I don't have a prediction for Champions League right now. But for the league, Arsenal will win the league. City will come second. Liverpool third. United fourth. And Newcastle will come fifth. That's my own prediction for the guys. I'm so glad. I'm proud to have you guys on the show today. We have so much to talk about, but we have almost gone 2 hours. Let's not bore our viewers with listening to us for 2 hours, even though it has been very, very interesting. I'm so glad to have you guys on the show today. Remind our viewers, if you have not, subscribe to this channel as quickly as you can right away, because we're going to have loads of content going to this new and exciting potential season we're going to have. All the teams have strengthened. The fans are jazzed up for it. Tomorrow we're going to have another section. We're going to look at Chelsea and Liverpool. You know, both of them are going to have their first game against each other on Sunday. We'll look at City a little bit with Burnley tomorrow. I don't know if any of you has a chance. I will send in the invitation. We're going to have Chelsea and the Liverpool fans on the show tomorrow. So, guys, thank you for coming, and see you next time.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, guys.